Legal cases by Prableen, Emma, and Nicholas. The first case we will be looking at is between Ontario College of Teachers and Gil Calmero, which got finalized on April 21, 2023. The discipline committee panel found him guilty of professional misconduct as defined in Ontario College of Teachers Act. He made some comments in the classroom like, "You can't fix stupid. You are so fat, my grandmother can run faster than you." After making these offensive comments, Calmaro found guilty of physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. His behavior and actions violate the Ontario Regulation 437 by 9. Calmaro's verbal comments on skin size, color, and abusing actions create an intimidating atmosphere in the classroom which violates human rights code, which states that every person has right to equal treatment. He also fails to comply with his duties under the OCT Act, Education Act, Child, Youth, and Family Services by making all these offensive remarks. Panel decided 5 months suspension for Calmiro with some additional courses on anger management, classroom management, and culture diversity and sensitivity. The ethical standards of care and respect refers teachers are responsible for well-being of students and they should have respect for cultural diversity. So panel's decision on rehabilitation of Calmiro would help him to remind the importance of the ethical standards of the teaching profession. We selected this case to analyze that how teachers' words and actions can impact the classroom environment. It is teachers' responsibility to choose their words wisely. Finally, the significance of this case for an Ontario teacher. This case provides teachers with insight into their professional responsibilities and obligations within the Ontario education system. It is also a reminder for the teachers that we are expected to provide students with a safe learning environment and to treat all the students equitably and with dignity.
Our second case is Ontario College of Teachers versus Rail, finalized April 25th, 2023. Genevieve Nancy Rail pled no contest to acts demonstrating professional and sexual misconduct. From September 1997 to March 2021, she was employed by the Thames Valley District School Board. These activities, which ended her career, happened during the 2019-2020 school year. On September 1st, 2020, Rail was issued a 3-day unpaid suspension and was administratively transferred to another school following an investigation by the board. On March 22nd, 2021, she retired from the board. Here are the uncontested facts of this case. The member made inappropriate comments to students, including derogatory names and profanity. The member allowed students to conduct a potentially dangerous activity unsupervised, resulting in a fire. The member mocked disabled individuals using derogatory language and gestures. Several students experienced emotional and psychological distress due to the member's conduct. Following an investigation, the member was suspended, transferred, and later retired. Under Ontario laws, the Education Act, the OCT Act, and Child and Family Services Act, the teacher's actions were found to constitute professional misconduct. The teacher was found guilty of verbally abusing students, psychologically or emotionally abusing students, failing to adequately supervise students, and engaging in disgraceful, dishonorable, or unprofessional conduct. The teacher was also found to have engaged in sexual misconduct as defined in the Ontario College of Teachers Act. The significance of this case to me as an Ontario teacher lies in its stark demonstration of the profound impact that a teacher's behavior can have on students. This teacher's actions created significant emotional and psychological distress, underscoring the importance of maintaining professional conduct and creating a safe, respectful, and inclusive learning environment for all students. Rail, the defendant, entered a plea of no contest. When a defendant enters a plea of no contest, they are not admitting guilt, but are also not contesting the charges against them. It is essentially a way for the defendant to accept the punishment or consequences without admitting fault. In conclusion, this case provides a clear demonstration of the legal implications of such misconduct under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Constitution Act, the Education Act, the Ontario College of Teachers Act, and the Child and Family Services Act. It is an example of how legal penalties can shape the practice of education even though this teacher ended their career by retiring. The charges brought against them clearly pushed them into retirement.
The third case we will be looking at is the Ontario College of Teachers versus Ng, finalized on March 7, 2023. In this case, Christopher Ng sexually, physically, and psychologically abused a student as per Ontario Regulation 437/97 of the Ontario College of Teachers Act. Ng was a teacher in the York Catholic District School Board in Richmond Hill and taught this student in 2010 to 2011. In the spring of 2011, he befriended her on Facebook and sent messages to make her feel special. He then engaged in sexual contact with the student from May 2011 until the end of 2018. In February 2020, the York Regional Police charged Ng with sexual assault, breaching Section 271 of the Criminal Code of Canada. Ng pleaded guilty to 1 count of sexual assault and was sentenced to an 18-month conditional sentence and 3 years of probation. When brought to the panel of the Ontario College of Teachers, the member did not have a plea of contest to any of the facts. In an oral decision rendered on March 2, 2023, the panel gave the order to provide the member with a written reprimand and to immediately revoke the member's certificate of qualification and registration. There are many legal implications associated with this case, both criminally and relating to the Ontario College of Teachers Act. When Ng was criminally charged in 2020, he breached Section 271 of the Criminal Code of Canada, which outlines sexual assault. He was also charged with sexual exploitation, which falls under Section 153, subsection 1.1 of the Criminal Code of Canada. This section outlines exploitation of a young person between the ages of 16 and 18 for a sexual purpose by someone in a position of trust or authority. When brought to the panel of the Ontario College of Teachers, Ng was found guilty of professional misconduct contrary to Ontario Regulation 437/97, subsections 5, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 16, 17, 18, and 19. We chose this case because of the surprising timeline. This teacher was practicing for at least 9 years after the beginning of his misconduct. For nearly a decade, a criminal was left to teach students every day. In addition, it is surprising that the member was charged with sexual assault 3 years before his teaching certificate was revoked. The charge occurred in February 2020. The member's status became inactive in May 2022, and it was not until March 2023 that his certificate and registration was revoked. In terms of its significance to Ontario teachers, this case acts as a reminder and warning to know the signs of sexual abuse. Ontario teachers now complete annual sexual abuse prevention training and should be diligent in their efforts to not overlook any potential red flags. Teachers should look for signs of coworkers crossing boundaries and report instances to their principal. This includes cases of teachers being alone with a student inside a closed room, teachers making inappropriate comments or jokes to a student, or connecting with students socially outside of school. This case is a lesson to teachers to be aware and complete their training to feel confident in their abilities to identify risky behavior. The 3 cases we have outlined today all involve professional misconduct of a teacher as well as various forms of abuse. Despite similar forms of misconduct, these cases demonstrate the variety of outcomes teachers can face. In Case 1, the teaching certificate was suspended and the teacher had to attend mandatory training. In Case 2, there was a plea of no contest and the teacher retired early. In the third case, the teaching certificate was revoked indefinitely, and the teacher was criminally charged. There are important takeaways from each case, and by learning about the variety of laws and legislative framework regarding education, we can best prepare ourselves to be aware and diligent in our future careers, to know the signs of abuse and understand our role in supporting our students.